question about a key figure in Indian history, who wrote the influential book titled Poverty and Un-British Rule in India back in 1901. You'll see 4 important names here. Think about who might have authored this powerful critique of colonial rule. It's a great way to dive into our topic. Let's talk about Dadabhai Naoroji, a pioneering thinker who first introduced the idea of the brain drain. He was among the earliest to highlight how talented individuals leaving their home country could impact its development. Naoroji was also the first to estimate the scale of poverty in India, bringing attention to economic challenges that had long been overlooked. His work laid the groundwork for understanding both human capital loss and economic hardship in a global context. Let's take a moment to consider a key date in history. When was the National Planning Committee established? Was it 1938, 1944, 1950, or 1962? This question helps us anchor our understanding of the timeline and the context in which important planning decisions began to take shape. Think about the era each year represents and how that might have influenced the committee's formation. Let's take a moment to look back at a key milestone. The year was 1938, when an important institution was set up to chart India's economic future. This wasn't just any plan. It was a foundation for growth and development that would shape the nation's path forward. Understanding this starting point helps us appreciate the journey that followed. Now, let's look at a key question about the Bombay Plan from 1944. Who actually formulated it? Was it the Planning Commission, leading industrialists like J.R.D. Tata and G.D. Birla, the British government, or the Indian National Congress? This question helps us understand the players behind one of India's early economic strategies and sets the stage for how the country envisioned its future development. Keep these options in mind as we explore the plan's origins. This slide highlights a key moment in economic development, a plan put forward by some of the most influential industrialists of the time. Names like J.R.D. Tata and G.D. Birla stand out as leaders who shaped the vision. Their ideas weren't just business strategies. They were blueprints for growth that aimed to transform the economy on a large scale. Understanding their role helps us see how industry and development often go hand in hand. Let's look at a key moment in history, the first working group on poverty. The question here is, when was it set up by the Planning Commission? Was it 1950, 1962, 1971, or 1979? This group marked an important step in how poverty was officially studied and addressed. Understanding the timing helps us see how poverty policies evolved over the decades. Think about which year fits best with the broader story of economic planning. Let's look back to 1962, the first official effort after independence to define poverty in our country. This was a crucial moment, marking the beginning of a more systematic approach to understanding who was struggling and why. It set the stage for policies aimed at tackling poverty with clearer targets and data. Understanding this milestone helps us see how poverty measurement has evolved over time. Let's look at a key question about poverty measurement in India. Several committees have shaped how we define the poverty line: Lakdawala, Tendulkar, Alag, and Rangarajan. But which one recommended setting the poverty line based on calorie intake, specifically 2,400 calories for rural areas and 2,100 for urban? This question helps us understand how these committees approached the challenge of measuring poverty in practical terms. Back in 1979, the YK Alag Committee set the standard for nutritional intake norms. These guidelines helped shape how we understand and measure proper nutrition. When we talk about recommended dietary allowances from that era, it's the Alag Committee's work we're referring to. Their recommendations still influence nutritional policies and health programs today. Lakdawala Committee from 1993 is best known for one key contribution in measuring poverty. It introduced the use of price indices to estimate poverty more accurately. This approach helped shift the focus toward how changes in prices affect living standards. Understanding this contribution is important because it laid the groundwork for more precise and dynamic poverty assessments in India. Let's keep this in mind as we explore further developments in poverty measurement. DT Lakdawala focused on using specific price indices tailored for rural and urban areas. This approach helps us understand how the cost of living differs between these regions, which is crucial when estimating poverty. By adjusting for these differences, we get a more accurate picture of who's truly struggling and where. It's a method that brings clarity to poverty measurement, making sure the numbers reflect real-life conditions. Let's look at a key shift in how poverty was measured in 2009. 4 committees played important roles in shaping policy, but only one moved away from calorie-based poverty estimates. Instead, it adopted a broader consumption-based approach, capturing a wider picture of living standards. This question asks which committee made that pivotal change. Understanding this helps us see how poverty measurement has evolved to reflect real-world needs better. Let's talk about a key shift in focus when it comes to measuring economic activity. Suresh Tendulkar, leading the Tendulkar Committee, emphasized looking beyond just government spending and investments. Instead, he brought private consumption expenditure to the forefront. This change helped us better understand how household spending drives the economy, giving a clearer picture of everyday economic life. It's a reminder that the choices people make with their money matter a lot in shaping growth. Here, we see the daily per capita expenditure figures for the urban poverty line, as defined by the Rangarajan Committee in 2014. The numbers range from Rupee 27 to Rupee 47, with 4 different options listed. This slide challenges us to identify the correct amount set by the committee, helping us understand the economic threshold used to measure urban poverty in India. It's a key reference point for discussions on poverty and policy. Here, we see a comparison of income thresholds for urban areas. The threshold was raised to 47 rupees, up from 33 rupees in the earlier Tendulkar report. This change reflects an adjustment to better capture the economic realities in urban settings. So, when asked about the updated threshold, the correct figure to remember is 47 rupees. The Narasimham Working Group of 1975 played a key role in shaping India's financial landscape. It led to the establishment of an important institution focused on rural development and agriculture. Among the options here, the correct answer is NABARD, the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. This group's recommendations helped strengthen rural credit systems and support farmers, making NABARD a cornerstone of India's rural economy today. M. Narasimham's group played a key role in establishing regional rural banks, or RRBs. These banks were designed to bring banking services closer to rural communities, supporting agriculture and small businesses. Their creation marked a significant step in financial inclusion, helping to bridge the gap between urban financial centers and the countryside. Understanding this contribution helps us appreciate how policy decisions shape access to credit and economic growth in rural areas. Let's turn our attention to some key committees that shaped India's financial landscape. Among the Shivaman or Sivaraman Committee, the Chakravarti Committee, the Vaghal Committee, and the Tarapur Committee. One of these recommended the creation of NABARD, the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. This question asks us to identify which committee made that recommendation, highlighting the important role these groups played in rural finance reforms. The Sivaraman Committee played a key role in shaping rural finance in India. They recommended the creation of the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, or NABARD. This institution was designed to support agriculture and rural development through better credit and financial services. Understanding this committee's recommendation helps us see how policy decisions can lead to lasting changes in the financial landscape for rural communities. Let's look at what the Narasimham Committee focused on back in 1991. The options include indirect tax reform, increasing interest rates, nationalizing banks, and reducing the statutory liquidity ratio and cash reserve ratio, or SLR and CRR. This slide challenges us to identify the committee's primary area of focus, which was crucial for shaping banking reforms in India during that period. It sets the stage for understanding financial policy changes that followed. This slide focuses on a key policy move, reducing the statutory liquidity ratio, or SLR, and the cash reserve ratio, CRR. These measures were designed to free up funds within the banking sector, making more money available for lending and investment. By lowering these reserve requirements, banks could operate with greater flexibility, supporting economic growth and encouraging financial activity. It's a classic example of liberalizing the banking system to boost overall liquidity. Let's look at some key committees in India's financial history. We have the Raghuram Rajan Committee, the S.S. Tarapur Committee, the Urjit Patel Committee, and the Nachiket More Committee. Each played a unique role in shaping policy. Now, the question is, which one is linked to capital account convertibility? It's an important concept, dealing with how freely capital can move across borders. Keep this in mind as we explore their contributions. Back in 1997, S.S. Tarapur led key committees that shaped important financial policies. These groups, known collectively as the S.S. Tarapur Committee, played a crucial role in setting standards and guidelines that still influence the system today. Understanding their work helps us see how foundational decisions were made and why they matter for current practices. Here, we're looking at a question about committees linked to agricultural goals. Specifically, which committee was set up to achieve the ambitious target of doubling farmers' income by 2022? We have four options: the Ashok Dalwai Committee, the Swaminathan Committee, the Shanta Kumar Committee, and the Hanumantha Rao Committee. This question tests our knowledge of key policy groups driving reforms in farming and rural development. Let's think about which one fits this particular goal. Let's talk about the Ashok Dalwai Committee from 2015. This group took on a big challenge, doubling farm income in India. Their work laid out strategies to boost agricultural productivity, improve market access, and support farmers' livelihoods. Understanding their recommendations helps us see how policy can drive real change in farming communities. This committee's focus remains a key reference point in discussions about rural development and economic growth. Let's look at the question around the C2 plus 50% formula for minimum support price, or MSP. This formula was recommended by one of four key figures. The options include Raja J. Chelaya, V.K. Kelkar, Arjun Sen Gupta, and M.S. Swaminathan, who was part of the National Commission on Farmers. Understanding who proposed this formula helps us trace important policy decisions in agricultural pricing. This formula is at the heart of many farmer protests we've seen. It's not just a random demand. It comes from the work of M.S. Swaminathan and the National Commission on Farmers. Their recommendations have shaped what farmers are asking for, making this formula a crucial piece in understanding the ongoing debates and struggles in agriculture today. Let's look at a key recommendation from the Kathari Commission, which met between 1964 and 1966. They suggested how much of a country's GDP should be devoted to education. The options range from 2% to 10%. This question challenges us to recall the specific target they set for investing in education, a crucial figure that shaped policy discussions for years to come. D.S. Kathari set a clear target for education, spending 6% of the GDP. This recommendation has stood the test of time and remains a goal many still strive to achieve today. It's a benchmark that highlights the importance of investing in education for long-term growth and development. Reaching this 6% is more than just a number. It's about prioritizing the future. Let's take a moment to consider who led the committee that drafted the National Education Policy in 2020. This question highlights four important figures: Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, Acharya Ramamurthy, Prof. Yashpal, and Dr. K. Kasturarangan. Each has made significant contributions to education, but only one chaired this pivotal committee. Understanding this helps us connect the policy to the vision and leadership behind it. Dr. Kasturarangan took the lead of the committee starting in 2017. He's the key figure we're focusing on here, often referred to simply as Dr. K. Kasturarangan. His leadership shaped the direction and outcomes of the committee's work during that period. Understanding his role helps us appreciate the context behind the decisions made. Let's turn our attention to a key question about committees from the late 1970s. We're asked which committee focused specifically on sick industries in 1977. The options include the Raj Committee, Carve Committee, Dutt Committee, and Tandon Committee. This question tests our knowledge of economic history and policy efforts aimed at addressing struggling industries during that period. Understanding which committee took on this challenge helps us grasp how governments respond to industrial crises. This slide highlights a key focus on industrial units that were facing losses. The correct answer here is the Tandon Committee. This committee played a crucial role in addressing the financial challenges of these industries, aiming to bring stability and better management practices. Understanding this helps us see how targeted interventions can support struggling sectors and improve overall economic health. Here, we're looking at the Carve Committee from 1955, and the question is about what area it's linked to. The options range from large-scale industries, small-scale industries, banking reforms, to tax reforms. This slide sets us up to explore the committee's focus and its impact on economic policy. Understanding this helps us see how different sectors were prioritized in that period. Let's keep these choices in mind as we dive deeper into the committee's recommendations and legacy. This part zeroes in on the importance of village and small-scale industries. These industries play a crucial role in local economies, providing jobs and sustaining communities. When we talk about small-scale industries, we're looking at businesses that operate on a smaller, more manageable level, often family-run or community-based. They're vital for grassroots development and help keep economic activity close to home. Understanding their role helps us appreciate how local efforts contribute to broader growth. Let's focus on a key moment in India's economic history, the Tax Reforms Committee of 1991. The question here is, who led this important committee? The options are Raja J. Chelliah, Vijay Kelkar, LKJHA, and Rakai. This committee played a crucial role in shaping tax policy during a pivotal time. Knowing who headed it helps us understand the leadership behind those reforms. Raja J. Chelliah is widely recognized for pioneering tax reforms in India. His work reshaped the country's fiscal policies, making taxation more efficient and equitable. Understanding his contributions helps us appreciate how thoughtful reforms can drive economic progress. So, when we talk about tax reform in India, his name stands out as a key figure who laid the groundwork for modern changes. The Kelkar Committee from 2002 is important for a few reasons. It's often linked to the FRBM Act, which aimed to bring fiscal discipline. It also pushed for simplifying both direct and indirect taxes. Some say it's about one or the other, but really, it's about both. So, the committee's significance lies in how it shaped fiscal policy and tax reforms together, not just one or the other. Vijay Kelkar played a key role in shaping important financial policies in India. He was deeply involved in the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, which aimed to bring discipline to government spending. At the same time, he worked on simplifying and rationalizing the tax system. So, when asked about his contributions, the right answer is both. He influenced fiscal rules and tax reforms alike. Now, let's look at a question about committees from 1972. We're asked which one specifically focused on agricultural and wealth tax. The options are the Lakdawala Committee, the Aayog Committee, the Wanchu Committee, and the K.N. Raj Committee. Each played a role in economic policy, but only one dealt directly with these taxes. This question tests our knowledge of their distinct contributions during that period. This slide points to a specific recommendation, imposing taxes on agricultural holdings. That suggestion came from the K.N. Raj Committee. Understanding which group made this recommendation helps us trace how policy ideas develop and influence economic planning. It's a key detail in grasping the broader context of agricultural reforms and fiscal strategies. So, when you see this recommendation, remember, it's the K.N. Raj Committee behind it. The Wanchu Committee, active in 1970 and 71, focused on several key areas. These included agriculture, education, direct taxes, and indirect taxes. Understanding their work helps us see how policy recommendations shaped these critical sectors. This slide highlights the broad scope the committee covered, touching on both economic and social dimensions. It's important to keep these categories in mind as we explore their impact further. Now, let's focus on the Direct Tax Inquiry Committee. This committee dealt specifically with direct taxes, the kind of taxes paid directly to the government by individuals or organizations. Understanding this helps us see how tax policies are reviewed and shaped, ensuring fairness and efficiency in the system. It's a key piece in the bigger picture of tax administration and reform. Let's take a moment to look at some key committees involved in economic reforms. We have the Rustagi Committee, the Shom Committee, the Ranjan Task Force, and the Subramanian Committee. Now, the question here is, which one of these committees worked specifically on designing the Goods and Services Tax, or GST, back in 2015? This helps us understand the origins of one of India's biggest tax reforms. He led the committee responsible for designing the GST framework and setting its rates. This was the Arvind Subramanian Committee, a group that played a crucial role in shaping how the Goods and Services Tax would work across the country. Understanding this committee helps us see the foundations of the tax system we use today. Let's take a moment to look at some of the major global institutions. The question here is, who publishes the World Economic Outlook? Is it the World Bank, the IMF, the WTO, or UNCTAD? This report is a key resource for understanding the global economy, so knowing its source helps us grasp its perspective and authority. We'll explore the answer and why it matters in just a moment. When it comes to economic forecasting, one key player stands out: the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. They publish reports and data that help us understand global economic trends and make informed predictions. So, when we see a question about who provides these forecasts, the answer is clear: it's the IMF. Their work shapes how governments and businesses plan for the future. This slide asks us to identify the publisher of the Global Financial Stability Report. Among the options, we have the Reserve Bank of India, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Economic Forum. The key here is knowing which organization regularly assesses and reports on global financial stability, offering insights into risks and trends in the global economy. This question tests our understanding of major financial institutions and their roles. This slide highlights one of the four main reports produced by the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. These reports play a crucial role in monitoring the global economy, providing analysis and policy advice to member countries. Understanding this report helps us see how the IMF supports economic stability worldwide by offering timely insights and recommendations. It's a key piece in the puzzle of international finance and economic cooperation. Let's test our knowledge with a quick question. Which organization publishes the World Development Report? Is it the IMF, the UNDP, the World Bank, or UNCTAD? Think about the role each plays in global development and finance. This report is a key resource for understanding economic trends and policy challenges worldwide. Keep this in mind as we move forward. This slide highlights the flagship publication of the World Bank. It's a key source of insight and analysis, shaping how we understand global development challenges. When we think of authoritative reports that influence policy and investment worldwide, this publication stands out as a trusted reference. It's more than just a document, it's a cornerstone for decision-makers everywhere. The Ease of Doing Business report you might be familiar with has been discontinued. In its place, we now have several new frameworks to look at. These include Doing Business 2, the Global Trade Index, Business Ready, and Business Forward. Each one offers a fresh perspective on how we measure and understand the business environment today. This shift reflects a broader effort to capture the complexities of global trade and economic readiness in a more nuanced way. The World Bank has shifted its focus from the well-known Doing Business report to a new initiative called Business Ready, often shortened to Be Ready. This change reflects a fresh approach to supporting economies and helping businesses thrive. Instead of just measuring ease of doing business, the emphasis now is on readiness, preparing markets and systems to be more adaptable and resilient in a changing world. It's a subtle but important shift in how progress is tracked and encouraged. Let's look at a question about the source of the World Investment Report. This report is a key resource for understanding global investment trends. The options include the IMF, the World Economic Forum, UNCTAD, and the WTO. We're asked to identify which organization publishes this important report. It's a chance to connect these major institutions with their roles in the global economy. This slide points us to an important source, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, or UNCTAD. It's a key player in global economic discussions, especially when it comes to trade and development issues. Knowing where information comes from helps us understand its context and authority. So, when we see reports or data credited to UNCTAD, we know it's backed by a major international institution focused on sustainable development and economic progress. Let's look at a question about major international organizations. Which one publishes the Trade and Development Report? Is it the World Trade Organization, the World Bank, UNCTAD, or the United Nations Development Program? Each plays a big role in global economics, but only one is behind this specific report. Think about where trade and development intersect most closely. Now, let's highlight another important publication from UNCTAD. This organization plays a crucial role in shaping global trade and development policies. When it comes to authoritative reports and insights, UNCTAD is often the correct answer. Their work helps us understand complex economic issues and guides decision-making on an international scale. So, when you see a question about key publications in this field, remember, the right choice is usually UNCTAD. Let's talk about the Financial Stability Report in India. This report is crucial because it gives us a snapshot of the country's financial health. Now, who publishes it? The options include SEBI, the Ministry of Finance, the RBI, and NITI Aayog. The correct answer is the Reserve Bank of India, the RBI. They release this report twice a year, helping us understand risks and stability in the financial system. It's a key resource for policymakers and investors alike. Every 6 months, the Reserve Bank conducts a crucial assessment. This review helps keep the financial system stable and ensures policies are on track. When we talk about this critical half-yearly check, it's the RBI, the Reserve Bank of India, that leads the process. It's their role to monitor, evaluate, and guide the economy through these regular, detailed evaluations. Let's look at an important source of economic data in India, the Handbook of Statistics on Indian Economy. This publication is key for anyone tracking the country's economic trends and indicators. The question here is, which organization is responsible for this handbook? The options include the Ministry of Commerce, the Reserve Bank of India, the National Statistical Office, and the Central Statistical Office. Each plays a role in India's data landscape, but only one publishes this essential resource. This slide highlights a key source of comprehensive data on the Indian economy. When we look for reliable and detailed economic information, the Reserve Bank of India, or RBI, stands out as the primary authority. It collects, analyzes, and publishes a wide range of data that helps us understand economic trends, policy impacts, and financial health. So, when asked which institution provides this comprehensive economic data, the correct answer is the RBI. When it comes to estimating national income in India, several key institutions play a role. The Reserve Bank of India, or RBI, is one of them. Then there's the Central Statistics Office, which now operates under the National Statistical Office. The Finance Ministry also contributes to this process. And finally, NITI Aayog is involved as well. Together, these organizations help us understand the economic health of the country by compiling and analyzing national income data. Here, we see that the Central Statistical Office, or CSO, is responsible for this accounting. It's important to note that the CSO now operates under the National Statistical Office, or NSO. This shift reflects how statistical functions are often reorganized to improve efficiency and oversight. So, when we talk about this accounting, we're really referring to the work done by the CSO within the larger framework of the NSO. Let's take a moment to think about who publishes the Statistical Abstract of India. Is it the Reserve Bank of India, the civil or national statistical organizations, the World Bank, or the International Monetary Fund? This question helps us understand the key players involved in compiling and sharing India's official statistics, a crucial resource for policymakers and researchers alike. Keep these organizations in mind as we explore how data shapes economic decisions. This slide points out that the correct answer is the CSO or NSO, rather than the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. It's a subtle distinction, but an important one. The CSO and NSO are the key agencies responsible for collecting and analyzing data, while MOSPI oversees broader program implementation. Understanding who does what helps us make sense of how statistical data flows through government systems. It's a small detail, but one that matters. Let's look at some key organizations connected to global gender issues. The question here is, who releases the Global Gender Gap Report? The options include the World Bank, the World Economic Forum, UN Women, and UNDP. Each plays an important role in development and equality, but only one is responsible for this particular report. This question helps us understand which institution leads the conversation on measuring gender gaps worldwide. The World Economic Forum, or WEF, publishes this report alongside their well-known Global Risk Report. It's a key resource that helps us understand emerging challenges on a global scale. By connecting these insights, the WEF provides a broader picture of risks and opportunities shaping our future. This context is crucial as we navigate complex issues together. Let's talk about the source of the Future of Jobs report. This report is a key resource for understanding how work is changing worldwide. It's published by the International Labor Organization, or ILO. The ILO focuses on labor issues and employment trends, making it the go-to for insights on jobs and the future of work. So when you see this report, you know it's grounded in deep expertise about labor markets and workforce development. The World Economic Forum keeps a close eye on job trends through this report. It's their way of understanding how the workforce is shifting, which skills are rising in demand, and what the future of work might look like. This insight helps businesses, governments, and individuals prepare for the changes ahead. So when we talk about tracking job trends, the WEF report is a key resource we rely on. Let's talk about the Human Development Index, or HDI. It was first published in 1990, and it's a key measure that looks beyond just income to assess overall human well-being. Now the question is, which organization introduced it? Was it the World Bank, the UNDP, the IMF, or UNESCO? Each plays a big role in global development, but only one launched the HDI. We'll explore that in a moment. This initiative was pioneered by Mahbub-ul-Haq and brought to the world through the United Nations Development Program. It's a powerful example of how innovative ideas can gain global traction when backed by the right institutions. The UNDP played a key role in shaping and sharing this approach, helping it influence development policies worldwide. Now, let's focus on a key milestone in sustainability. This question asks which report first introduced the concept of sustainable development back in 1987. Among these options, one stands out for shaping how we think about balancing economic growth, environmental protection, and social equity. Understanding this report helps us grasp the foundation of modern sustainability efforts worldwide. Let's explore which one it is and why it matters. The Brundtland Report was a landmark moment for sustainability. It laid the groundwork by defining 17 goals that guide global efforts toward a more sustainable future. These goals cover everything from poverty and education to climate action and clean energy. By setting this framework, the report helped the world focus on what really matters: balancing economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. It's the foundation we still build on today. This slide asks us to identify which organizations collaborate with the UNDP to publish the Multidimensional Poverty Index, or MPI. We see 4 options: the World Bank, OPHI from Oxford, the IMF, and the World Economic Forum. The MPI is a powerful tool that goes beyond income, measuring poverty across health, education, and living standards. Understanding who partners on this helps us appreciate the global effort behind tackling poverty in all its dimensions. Here, we see that OPHI, the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative, plays a key role in collaborating on the MPI, or Multidimensional Poverty Index. This partnership brings together expertise to measure poverty in a way that goes beyond income alone. It's a crucial collaboration, helping us understand poverty in a more complete, nuanced way. Here, we're looking at a question about the source of the Gender Inequality Index. It's a measure that highlights disparities between genders across different countries. The options include major international organizations, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations Development Program, the World Trade Organization, and UNCTAD. Understanding who publishes this index helps us know where the data comes from and which institution is leading the conversation on gender inequality worldwide. This slide points out that the index we're discussing is just one among many published by the United Nations Development Program, or UNDP. They produce a range of indices to measure different aspects of development worldwide. So, when you see this index, remember it's part of a bigger picture, a toolkit UNDP uses to track progress and challenges across countries. It's a valuable piece, but not the whole story. Let's take a moment to look at some of the major international organizations involved in global trade and development. The question here asks who publishes the World Trade Report. We have 4 options: the IMF, the WTO, the World Bank, and UNCTAD. Each plays a unique role, but only one is responsible for this specific report. Keep these organizations in mind as we explore their functions and contributions. Now, let's turn our attention to global trade policies and the trends shaping them. When we think about the frameworks that govern international trade, one organization stands out: the World Trade Organization, or WTO. It plays a crucial role in setting rules, resolving disputes, and promoting smooth trade flows between countries. Understanding the WTO helps us grasp how global markets connect and evolve over time. Let's look at who publishes the Periodic Labor Force Survey, or PLFS. We have 4 options here: the Ministry of Labor, the National Statistical Office, or CSO, the Reserve Bank of India, and NITI Aayog. The correct answer is the Ministry of Labor. They're responsible for gathering and releasing this important data on employment and labor trends in the country. Understanding who manages this survey helps us know where the official labor statistics come from. When it comes to tracking unemployment in India, PLFS data plays a crucial role. This data comes from the National Statistical Office, or NSO, sometimes called the Central Statistical Office, CSO. They're the ones responsible for gathering and analyzing this information, making sure we have accurate, up-to-date unemployment statistics to understand the job market and guide policy decisions. Let's talk about a key report called Global Economic Prospects. It's a major publication that gives us insights into the world economy's outlook. Now, you might wonder which organization is behind this report. Is it the IMF, the World Bank, the WEF, or UNCTAD? Each plays a big role globally, but only one produces this specific report. This question helps us connect the dots between these institutions and the economic analysis they provide. This slide highlights a key publication from the World Bank. When we think about major global financial institutions, the World Bank stands out for its influential reports and data. These publications shape policies, guide investments, and provide critical insights into development challenges worldwide. So, when asked which organization this publication belongs to, the correct answer is the World Bank. It's a cornerstone resource for anyone working in international development. Now, let's look at who publishes the Fiscal Monitor. This question gives us 4 options: the Ministry of Finance, the IMF, the World Bank, and the RBI. The key here is to identify the institution responsible for this important publication, which tracks global fiscal policies and economic outlooks. Understanding the publisher helps us know where to find reliable, up-to-date fiscal data and analysis. Keep this in mind as we explore the roles of these organizations in the global economy. This slide points us to one of the main reports produced by the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. It's a key resource that provides insight into global economic trends and financial stability. Understanding this report helps us grasp how the IMF monitors and supports the world economy. It's a cornerstone for anyone following international finance or economic policy. Let's talk about the absolute poverty threshold, as defined by the World Bank in 2023. This threshold marks the minimum income needed to meet basic needs. On this slide, you see different daily amounts, from $1.25 up to $5. The key figure here is $1.90 per day. This number helps us understand who's living in extreme poverty worldwide. It's It's a crucial benchmark for measuring progress and targeting aid. Here, we see that the threshold has been updated to $2.15 per day. This change is important because it sets a new baseline for whatever measurement or decision depends on this daily amount. Understanding this updated figure helps us stay aligned with the latest standards or criteria in the process we're discussing. So, $2.15 per day, that's the key number to remember here. Let's look at how relative poverty is measured. It's usually defined by comparing individual income to the median national income. The question here is, what percentage of that median income marks the threshold for relative poverty? Common answers range from 40 to 75%. The most widely accepted figure is 60%. So, if someone earns less than 60% of the median income, they're considered to be living in relative poverty. When we talk about relative poverty, we're looking at how someone's income compares to the rest of the population. Specifically, people earning less than 60% of the median income are considered relatively poor. This measure helps us understand economic inequality, not just absolute hardship. It's a way to see who's falling behind in today's economy and why addressing this gap matters. Let's take a moment to look at when the Multidimensional Poverty Index, or MPI, was introduced. This question gives us 4 options spanning from 1990 to 2015. The MPI is a tool designed to capture poverty beyond just income. It looks at multiple factors that affect people's lives. Understanding its origin helps us see how our approach to measuring poverty has evolved over time. So, which year do you think marks the introduction of this important index? Here, we're looking beyond just income to get a fuller picture of well-being. This approach includes education, health, and living standards, all crucial factors that shape quality of life. The key moment for this shift came in 2010, when these broader measures started gaining real traction. It's about understanding what truly matters, not just what people earn. Here, we're looking at the main dimensions of the Multidimensional Poverty Index, or MPI. The options listed are political participation, living standard, education, and health. The question asks us to identify which one is not actually a core dimension of the MPI. This helps us focus on what factors truly measure poverty beyond just income, the key areas that shape people's quality of life. Let's think about which one stands out as different. Here, we see the 3 pillars that support our focus: health, education, and living standards. These are the core areas that shape well-being and opportunity. But notice the question asks for the correct answer, and that's political participation. It's a reminder that alongside these pillars, being actively involved in political life is crucial for a thriving society. Let's take a moment to focus on a key formula in measuring poverty: the number of poor divided by the total population. This simple ratio is actually the head count ratio. It tells us the proportion of people living below the poverty line. Unlike other measures like the Poverty Gap Index or the Gini coefficient, it doesn't capture depth or inequality, just the share of people affected. Understanding this helps us choose the right tool for the story we want to tell. This slide introduces a key way to understand poverty: the head count ratio. It measures the share of people living below the poverty line. In other words, it tells us what portion of the population is struggling to meet basic needs. It's a straightforward, powerful snapshot that helps us see the scale of poverty in any community or country. Understanding this ratio is crucial for targeting resources and tracking progress over time. Let's look at 4 different ways to measure poverty. The head count ratio simply counts how many people fall below the poverty line. The Poverty Gap Index goes a step further. It measures how far, on average, those people are from that line. The Lawrence curve and Palma ratio focus more on income inequality overall. So, when we want to understand the intensity of poverty, how deep it runs for those affected, the Poverty Gap Index is the key measure. Now we're looking at how we measure the depth of poverty. It's not just about who's poor, but how poor they are. That's where the Poverty Gap Index comes in. It tells us the average shortfall from the poverty line, giving us a clearer picture of the intensity of poverty, not just its presence. This helps us understand the scale of the challenge so we can target resources more effectively. Now we're looking at a question about the FGT class of poverty measures. That's the Foster-Greer-Thorbecke indices. The question asks which specific index belongs to this class. We see options like the Gini index, square poverty gap, Palma ratio, and Kuznets ratio. Among these, the square poverty gap is part of the FGT family, measuring not just who's poor, but how poor they are. It's a key tool for understanding poverty depth, beyond just counting heads. Let's talk about the square poverty gap, a key measure in poverty analysis. It's part of the Foster-Greer-Thorbecke family of indices, or FGT for short. This measure doesn't just count how many people are poor, but also how far below the poverty line they fall, giving more weight to those who are worse off. It helps us understand the depth and severity of poverty, not just its presence. In this case, the correct answer highlights the square poverty gap as the standard FGT measure. Let's take a closer look at the Lorentz curve. It's a tool that helps us understand how income is distributed across a population. Specifically, it shows the relationship between the percentage of total income earned and the percentage of the population receiving that income. This curve is key for analyzing growth and inequality, helping us see who's benefiting most and who's being left behind. It's a fundamental concept when we talk about economic fairness and policy impact. This slide shows us a graphic that breaks down income distribution. It's all about understanding how income is spread across different segments of the population. Specifically, it compares the percentage of total income earned with the percentage of the population that earns it. This kind of visualization helps us see inequality at a glance, who's getting what, and how much of the pie each group really takes. Let's talk about the Gini coefficient and what its values mean. When the coefficient is 0, it represents perfect equality. Everyone has exactly the same income or wealth. On the other hand, a value of 1 would mean perfect inequality, where one person has everything and no one else has anything. The terms absolute and relative poverty come into play when we look at where people fall within this spectrum. Understanding these concepts helps us grasp how income is distributed in a society. When we talk about equality on this scale, 0 means perfect equality. Everyone has exactly the same share. On the other end, 1 represents perfect inequality, where one person or group has everything and no one else has anything. So 0 is our benchmark for fairness, the point where resources or opportunities are evenly distributed across the board. Understanding this helps us measure and talk about inequality in a clear, consistent way. Let's talk about the Palma ratio, a way to measure income inequality. It compares the income of the top 10% to different segments of the population below. Specifically, it looks at the bottom 50%, 40%, 20%, or 10%. This ratio helps us understand how wealth is distributed by showing how much more the richest earn compared to those with the least. It's a simple, yet powerful tool to highlight economic gaps. Here, we're looking at a comparison between the extremes of income distribution. Specifically, the focus is on the bottom 40% of earners. This group often experiences very different economic realities compared to those at the top. Understanding this contrast helps us see the gaps and challenges that exist within the broader income spectrum. It's a crucial perspective for any discussion about inequality or economic policy. Here, we're looking at a set of measures used to understand inequality. The question asks which one is also called the Robin Hood Index. This index is a way to capture how income or wealth is distributed across a population. Essentially, how much would need to be redistributed to achieve perfect equality. It's a useful tool for economists and policymakers who want to track fairness in society. Let's explore what this index tells us, and why it's nicknamed after the legendary figure who took from the rich to give to the poor. This slide introduces a key measure of economic inequality, the Hoover Index. It tells us how much income would have to be shifted around to create perfect equality. In other words, it quantifies the gap between what people actually earn and what they would earn if income were evenly shared. Understanding this helps us grasp the scale of inequality in a straightforward way. The correct term for this measure is the Hoover Index. Let's talk about the Kuznets curve, a concept that links economic development with inequality. According to this idea, as an economy grows, inequality doesn't just move in one direction. Instead, it first increases, then decreases. So, inequality rises during early development, peaks, and then falls as the economy matures. This pattern helps us understand the complex relationship between growth and social equity over time. This concept follows what's called an inverted U shape. That means it starts by increasing, going up, getting stronger or bigger, but then, after a certain point, it begins to decrease. So it rises first, reaches a peak, and then falls. It's not a straight line or a steady climb. Instead, it's a curve that goes up and then down, capturing a balance between growth and decline. Here we're looking at 4 different measures of inequality: the Sen Index, the Gini Index, the Atkinson Index, and the Thale Index. The question is, which one captures the level of inequality a society is willing to accept? This gets at more than just numbers. It's about values, fairness, and social tolerance. One of these indexes actually reflects that social judgment, not just the raw distribution of wealth or income. Let's explore which one it is. This slide highlights a key concept: inequality aversion. It points us to the Atkinson Index, a measure designed specifically to capture how much society cares about inequality. Unlike other metrics, the Atkinson Index lets us weigh the impact of disparities more heavily, reflecting a preference for fairness. So, when we want to understand or address inequality with sensitivity, this index is often the right tool to use. The Sen Index, also known as the SSD Index, is a comprehensive measure that combines several aspects of poverty. It doesn't just count how many people are poor, it looks deeper. It takes into account the Head Count Index, which measures the proportion of people below the poverty line. It also includes the Poverty Gap Index, showing how far below the line they are. And it factors in inequality among the poor, often captured by the Gini Index. So, the Sen Index really brings all of these together into one powerful measure. Here, we see how 3 different measures come together to form a single, unified index. Instead of looking at each one separately, this approach combines them all, giving us a clearer, more comprehensive picture. The best choice, then, is to include all of these elements, because together, they tell the full story. It's a reminder that sometimes, the whole really is greater than the sum of its parts. When we talk about what drives labor supply, there are a few key factors to keep in mind. Total population sets the broadest limit. More people means more potential workers. Then, wage rates play a big role. Higher wages usually attract more labor. Government policy can either encourage or restrict labor participation. And education level shapes the skills and availability of the workforce. Together, these elements directly influence how much labor is available in the market. When wage rates go up, we usually see more people willing to work. Higher pay makes jobs more attractive, so labor supply tends to rise. This connection between wages and labor supply is a fundamental concept in economics. It helps explain how workers respond to changes in their potential earnings. So, when we talk about what influences labor supply, wage rate is the key factor to keep in mind. When we talk about the labor force, who exactly are we including? Is it only those currently working? Or maybe just those actively seeking work? It could be both, people working and those willing to work. Or is it the entire population? This question helps us clarify the scope of the labor force, which is crucial for understanding employment statistics and economic health. Let's keep this in mind as we explore the data ahead. When we talk about the labor force, we're including 2 key groups. First, those who are currently employed, people actively working. And second, those who aren't working right now but are looking for a job, willing and ready to work. Together, these groups make up the total labor force. It's important to understand this distinction because it shapes how we measure employment and unemployment in the economy. When we talk about the workforce, we're referring specifically to a certain group of people. It's not just anyone who might want a job or those who are unemployed. Instead, the workforce includes those who are actually employed, the people actively working. This distinction matters because it shapes how we understand employment rates and economic health. So when you hear workforce, think of the actual number of workers, the ones contributing their skills and labor right now. Here, we're focusing on the actual number of workers who are employed. This measure excludes people who want to work but haven't yet found a job. It's an important distinction because it helps us understand employment in terms of those actively working, rather than everyone willing to work. This clarity makes the data more precise when analyzing labor market conditions. Let's take a moment to understand the participation ratio, a key measure in labor economics. It tells us what portion of the total population is actively engaged in the workforce. Among these formulas, the one that captures this idea is the total workforce divided by the total population, multiplied by 100. This gives us a percentage that reflects how many people are participating in the labor market overall. It's a crucial indicator of economic activity and social engagement. This slide shows how we measure the workforce participation rate. Essentially, the share of people actively working or looking for work in the total population. We calculate it by dividing the total workforce by the total population, then multiplying by 100 to get a percentage. It's a key indicator of economic engagement, telling us how many people are contributing to or seeking to contribute to the economy. Let's look at how the NSO measures unemployment. There are different ways to track status: daily, weekly, usual or yearly, and even a combination of all these. The question here asks which status the NSO actually uses to measure unemployment. Understanding this helps us grasp how unemployment data is collected and reported, and why the time frame matters when analyzing job markets. It's a key detail in interpreting economic statistics accurately. Here, we're clarifying that monthly status reports are explicitly not part of the process. The correct answer, D, confirms that all the options mentioned earlier are true. This helps us focus on what really matters, avoiding unnecessary updates that don't add value. It's about streamlining communication and keeping our efforts efficient. Let's talk about disguised unemployment, a hidden challenge in India's workforce. This type of unemployment is most common in agriculture. That's where people are working, but not all are actually needed for the output produced. It's a sign of underused labor, often seen in farming communities. So, when we ask where disguised unemployment is most common, the answer is the agricultural sector. It's a crucial point to understand when looking at India's economy and workforce dynamics. Here, we're looking at a concept that means having more workers than you actually need for a job. It's a situation that's common in certain industries, where labor is abundant, but productivity might not be as high as it could be. The correct example of this is agriculture, a sector where this phenomenon often occurs. Understanding this helps us see how labor dynamics work in different fields and why efficiency matters. Let's talk about disguised unemployment and how it relates to the marginal productivity of labor, or MPL. In this context, the MPL can take on different values. It might be high, meaning each additional worker adds significant output. It could be 1, 0, or even negative, indicating that adding more workers doesn't increase productivity, or might even reduce it. Understanding these distinctions helps us grasp the hidden inefficiencies in labor markets. Here, we see a key concept about production and labor. Adding extra workers doesn't always mean more output. In fact, in this case, the total production stays the same. The correct answer is 0, meaning no increase at all. This highlights how simply increasing the number of workers isn't enough to boost productivity. It's a reminder that efficiency and other factors matter just as much. Let's look at different types of unemployment. The question here focuses on unemployment caused by changes in technology or shifts in demand. This is known as structural unemployment. It happens when workers' skills no longer match what employers need. It's different from frictional unemployment, which is short-term and about job searching. Seasonal unemployment relates to predictable changes in demand, like holiday work, and cyclical unemployment ties to the ups and downs of the economy. Understanding these helps us see why people lose jobs for different reasons. Let's talk about a specific kind of unemployment, structural unemployment. This happens when there's a gap between the skills workers have and the skills jobs actually need. It's not just about jobs disappearing or people quitting. Instead, it's about the workforce and the job market being out of sync. When this mismatch happens, people can't easily fill available positions, even if there are jobs waiting. Understanding this helps us see why some unemployment lasts longer than others. When someone is between two jobs, the type of unemployment they experience is called frictional unemployment. It's the temporary gap while they're searching for a new position or transitioning from one role to another. This kind of unemployment is natural. It happens as people move through different stages in their careers. Understanding this helps us see that not all unemployment is the same. Some types are short-term and expected, while others might signal deeper economic issues. When we talk about the time spent searching for a new job after leaving an old one, we're referring to what's called frictional unemployment. This type of unemployment happens naturally as people transition between roles. It's not about the economy failing, it's about the normal movement in the job market. Frictional unemployment reflects the time it takes to find the right fit, the right opportunity. It's a sign of a dynamic, changing workforce. Cyclical unemployment is tied to the ups and downs of the economy. It's influenced by business cycles, periods of recession and prosperity that affect jobs across the board. Unlike seasonal work, which depends on farm seasons, or issues like lack of education and new machinery, cyclical unemployment rises when the economy slows and falls when it picks up. Understanding this helps us see how broader economic trends impact employment levels over time. We're looking at a pattern that moves with the economy's ups and downs. It rises when things slow down during recessions and falls when the economy picks up in times of prosperity. This is what we call business cycles. Understanding these cycles helps us see the bigger picture behind economic shifts and why certain trends behave the way they do. Here, we're looking at 4 committees: Rakai, Papola, Dantwala, and Arjun Sen Gupta. The question asks which one is linked to the unorganized or informal sector back in 2008. This is about understanding which committee focused on the challenges and realities of workers and businesses outside the formal economy. It's a key point when discussing labor policies and economic reforms from that period. This slide highlights a study focused specifically on the unorganized sector. The committee responsible for this important work is the Arjun Sen Gupta Committee. Understanding their role helps us appreciate how policies and recommendations were shaped to address the unique challenges faced by workers outside the formal economy. It's a key piece in the puzzle of labor reforms and social protection. The Dantwala Committee, back in 1970, focused on several key areas to improve the economy. They looked at tax reforms, aiming to make the system fairer and more efficient. Employment programs were another priority, designed to create more job opportunities. Banking reforms were also on their agenda, to strengthen financial institutions. Lastly, they considered education, recognizing its role in long-term development. Together, these areas formed the backbone of their recommendations. This part of our discussion zeroes in on working groups dedicated to employment programs. These groups are the engines behind initiatives that help people find jobs, develop skills, and connect with opportunities. By focusing efforts here, we can create targeted solutions that really make a difference in the workforce. It's all about collaboration, bringing the right people together to build effective employment strategies. Now we're looking at a question about the 13th Finance Commission. It asks which committee it was associated with. The options are the Kelkar Committee, the Kalyani Menon Sen Committee, the T.R. Rustagi Committee, and the N.K. Singh Committee. Each of these committees has played a role in shaping financial policy, but only one is linked directly to the 13th Finance Commission. Let's explore which one that is. Here, we see a reference to the Kalyani Menon Sen Committee. This committee is an important part of the timeline we're exploring. It played a key role in shaping the decisions and discussions that followed. Understanding its place helps us connect the dots and see how different efforts built on each other over time. Let's test our knowledge with a quick question. Which organization publishes the Global Risk Report? Is it the IMF, the World Economic Forum, the World Bank, or UNCTAD? Each of these groups plays a big role in the global economy, but only one is behind this particular report that highlights the biggest risks facing the world today. Think about it, which one leads this important conversation? This slide highlights a key source for global economic forecasting, the World Economic Forum, or WEF. It's widely recognized for its comprehensive reports and insights that shape how we understand economic trends worldwide. When we think about reliable forecasts that influence policy and business decisions, the WEF stands out as a trusted authority. This helps set the stage for our deeper look into global economic dynamics. This slide highlights the main focus areas of the World Investment Report. It's all about understanding where investment flows come from and how they shape the global economy. The report zeroes in on personal savings, government spending, foreign direct investment, or FDI, and stock market trends. Each of these plays a crucial role in how money moves across borders and impacts growth worldwide. Today, we're exploring which of these the report prioritizes. This slide points us to a key resource published by UNCTAD, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. They track global investments, helping us understand where money flows across borders. The focus here is on foreign direct investment, or FDI. That's when companies or individuals invest directly in businesses or assets in another country. It's a crucial measure of economic engagement worldwide, showing how connected and interdependent our markets really are. This slide asks us to consider what the Fiscal Monitor report actually tracks. Is it rainfall patterns, bank interest rates, government debt and deficits, or stock indices? The key here is understanding that the Fiscal Monitor focuses on public finances, so it's really about government debt and deficits. That's where the story of fiscal health and economic policy comes into focus. This slide highlights a key focus of the IMF report, government debt and deficits. We're looking at how public finances are managed, especially the balance between what governments owe and what they spend. Understanding these figures helps us see the bigger picture of economic health and fiscal responsibility. It's about tracking where money comes from, where it goes, and how sustainable that path really is. Here, we're looking at a question about a well-known report that's been updated. The new version is called Business Ready, or Be Ready for short. The question asks which famous report Be Ready replaces. The options include the Global Gender Gap, Ease of Doing Business, World Development Report, and HDI. This slide challenges us to connect the new initiative with its predecessor, helping us understand how familiar frameworks evolve over time. Here, we see a key correction. The World Bank replaced a certain index because of concerns about the data's reliability. The correct answer in this case is the Ease of Doing Business Index. This highlights how important it is to trust the data sources we rely on, especially when they influence major economic decisions and policies. It's a reminder that accuracy and transparency matter, even at the highest levels. Let's look at who publishes the Report on Currency and Finance. This report is an important document that sheds light on the economy and financial trends. The options here include the Ministry of Finance, NITI Aayog, RBI, and CSO. It's the Reserve Bank of India, the RBI, that takes responsibility for this report. Understanding who publishes it helps us know where to look for reliable financial insights. This slide points us to an important source, an annual publication by the Reserve Bank of India. It's a key document that offers insights into the country's financial landscape each year. When asked to identify the publisher, the correct answer is the RBI, the Reserve Bank of India itself. This highlights the RBI's central role in shaping and sharing economic data and policy updates. Let's look at some key reports issued by the Reserve Bank of India. There's the Annual Report, the Monetary Policy Report, the Financial Stability Report, and the Trend and Progress Report. Now, which one of these is released twice a year to specifically assess the stability of the banking system? This question helps us understand how the RBI monitors and communicates the health of the banking sector over time. When we talk about systemic risk, one of the most important tools we rely on is the Financial Stability Report. This report gives us a clear picture of the overall health of the financial system. It highlights vulnerabilities before they become crises, helping policymakers and institutions take action early. So, when you see a reference to systemic risk, think of this report. It's our early warning system, keeping the financial world on steady ground. Let's take a moment to look at who publishes the Statistical Pocketbook of India. This question tests our knowledge of key institutions involved in data and finance. The options include the Reserve Bank of India, the Central Statistics Office or National Statistical Office, the Finance Ministry, and NITI Aayog. Each plays a vital role in India's economic landscape, but only one is responsible for this particular publication. Understanding this helps us navigate the sources behind important national statistics. This slide gives us a quick look at key statistics from India. When we want reliable data like this, the go-to source is the CSO, or the Central Statistical Office, also known as the NSO, the National Statistical Office. They're the official bodies responsible for collecting and publishing the country's vital numbers, everything from population figures to economic indicators. So, whenever you see a snapshot like this, you can trust it's backed by solid, government-verified data. Let's look at the Direct Tax Code Task Force and the key figures linked to it. This slide asks us to identify who among these names is associated with that task force. It's a chance to connect the dots between influential economists and important tax reforms. Understanding who played a role here helps us appreciate the expertise behind shaping tax policy. So, as we consider these options, think about their contributions to India's fiscal landscape. Here, we see a key moment, the leadership behind drafting a new tax code. The person who led this important task force was Akhilesh Ranjan. This highlights how pivotal individuals can shape complex policy work, guiding teams through intricate challenges to create meaningful change. It's a reminder that effective leadership often makes all the difference in turning ideas into action. Let's look at the General Anti-Avoidance Rule, or GAAR, and the committees linked to it. We have 4 options here: the Parthasarathi Shom Committee, the Kelkar Committee, the Rakai Committee, and the Wanchu Committee. The question asks which one is associated with GAAR. This is a key point, because GAAR plays a major role in curbing tax avoidance, and knowing its origins helps us understand its purpose and impact. Here, we see a key leadership role, heading the Tax Administration Reform Commission, or TARC. This was a pivotal moment in shaping tax policy and administration. The correct answer points to the Parthasarathi Shom Committee, which played a crucial part in these reforms. Understanding this connection helps us appreciate the impact of expert committees on government policy and economic frameworks. Let's look at what vulnerable unemployment really means. It's often linked to jobs with low earnings and poor productivity, work that doesn't provide stability or growth. Sometimes, it includes part-time roles in IT or government jobs that don't offer enough security. High earnings, on the other hand, usually mean less vulnerability. Understanding these distinctions helps us see who's most at risk in the job market. This slide highlights a key challenge faced by workers in a certain category. They experience poor working conditions. The correct answer points to 2 main issues: inadequate earnings and low productivity. Together, these factors create a cycle that's hard to break. When earnings are low, motivation and resources drop, which in turn affects productivity. It's a reminder that improving work conditions means addressing both pay and performance, not just one or the other. Technological unemployment happens when new technology replaces human labor. It's not about workers moving to a new city, or a recession hitting the economy, or even workers going on strike. Instead, it's the direct impact of machines and automation taking over jobs that people used to do. This shift changes the landscape of work, sometimes faster than workers can adapt. Understanding this helps us see the challenges and opportunities technology brings to the workforce. Sometimes, skills that once felt essential suddenly lose their value. This happens when new technology steps in and takes over tasks we used to do ourselves. Automation replaces human labor, making certain skill sets obsolete. It's a shift that challenges us to adapt, learn new things, and rethink how we work in a changing world. Let's talk about what chronic unemployment really means. It's not just being out of work for a week or even a month. It's not something that happens only during harvest season either. Chronic unemployment refers to a long period of time without a job, an extended stretch where finding work remains a challenge. Understanding this helps us grasp the deeper issues behind persistent joblessness, beyond short-term or seasonal changes. We're talking about a type of unemployment that doesn't just come and go. It sticks around. This is what we call persistent unemployment, when someone is out of work for a long stretch of time. It's not just a few days or weeks. It's an extended period where finding a job remains a challenge. Understanding this helps us see the deeper issues in the job market and why some solutions need to be long-term. This slide asks us to identify who led the University Education Commission in 1948-49. The options include 4 notable figures: Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, D.S. Kathari, Prof. Yashpal, and Acharya Ramamurthy. This commission played a key role in shaping higher education in India after independence. Knowing its leader helps us understand the vision behind those early reforms. Let's consider which of these distinguished individuals was at the helm during that pivotal time. Let's talk about a landmark moment in India's educational history, the very first Commission on Higher Education after independence. This wasn't just any committee. It was led by Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. His vision helped shape the future of universities across the country, setting standards and goals that still influence us today. Understanding his role gives us insight into how higher education began its journey toward modernization in India. Here, we're looking at a question about the leadership of the National Policy on Education Review Committee in 1992. The options include 4 notable figures: Kathari, Mudaliar, Dr. Kasturarangan, and Acharya Ramamurthy. This slide tests our knowledge of who actually headed this important committee, which played a key role in shaping education policy. Let's think about the contributions each of these leaders made to education before we decide. Here, we see a review focused on the NPE, or National Policy on Education. The correct answer points to Acharya Ramamurthy, who played a key role in this review process. Understanding who led this effort helps us appreciate the direction and changes proposed in education policy at that time. It's a reminder that policies don't just happen. They're shaped by individuals with vision and expertise. Here, we're looking at 4 important committees, each with a distinct focus. The question asks us to identify which ones zeroed in on public-private partnerships, or PPP, in infrastructure. These committees shaped policies in different ways, but one stood out for addressing the collaboration between public and private sectors to build and manage infrastructure projects. Let's think about which committee took that lead. Now, let's focus on the committee that's been actively involved in this area. The correct answer here is the V.K. Saraswat Committee. This group has played a key role in shaping the policies and recommendations we're discussing. Understanding their contributions helps us see how expert insights translate into real-world actions. So, when we talk about active involvement, the V.K. Saraswat Committee stands out as a central player. Let's look at who publishes the Global Social Mobility Index. The options include the UNDP, the WEF, the WTO, and the IMF. Each of these organizations plays a big role in global development and economics. But when it comes to measuring social mobility, that is, how easily people can improve their social and economic status, one of these stands out as the publisher of this important index. We'll explore which one it is and why it matters. This slide highlights that the World Economic Forum, or WEF, is recognized for its wide range of publications. Among various organizations, the WEF stands out for producing diverse and influential reports. When asked which group is mentioned for these publications, the correct answer is the WEF. It's a reminder of how this global institution shapes important conversations across many fields. Let's look at the organizations involved in the Trade Policy Review. This review is a way to assess and understand a country's trade policies and how they fit into the global system. The key players here include the UN Conference on Trade and Development, the World Bank, the World Trade Organization, and the International Trade Center. Among these, the Trade Policy Review is actually a function of the World Trade Organization, the WTO. It's their tool for transparency and accountability in global trade. The World Trade Organization plays a key role in keeping global trade fair and transparent. One of the ways it does this is by regularly reviewing the trade policies of its member countries. These reviews help ensure that everyone is playing by the rules, and they provide a platform for dialogue and improvement. It's a system designed to build trust and stability in international trade. Let's look at some of the major global organizations involved in the digital economy. The World Bank, the World Trade Organization, UNCTAD, and the World Economic Forum all play important roles. But when it comes to the Digital Economy Report, it's actually published by UNCTAD, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. This report offers valuable insights into how digital technologies shape trade and development worldwide. Let's look at how we track the impact of digital technology on trade. It's not just about numbers, it's about understanding how technology reshapes the way goods and services move across borders. The organization leading this effort is UNCTAD, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. They analyze trends, challenges, and opportunities to help countries navigate the digital transformation in global trade. This slide highlights key topics covered by the IMF's External Sector Report. It looks at internal debt, local agriculture, global imbalances and exchange rates, and education. But the main focus here is on how countries interact financially beyond their borders. Things like trade balances, currency values, and international investments. Understanding these external factors helps us see the bigger picture of global economic health and stability. One of the four main reports from the IMF focuses on global imbalances and exchange rates. This report dives into the shifts and disparities in trade, capital flows, and currency values across countries. Understanding these imbalances helps us see the bigger picture of economic stability and potential risks worldwide. It's a crucial piece in the IMF's toolkit for monitoring and guiding the global economy. Let's look at an important question about leadership in economic reforms. Who headed the Disinvestment Commission back in 1996? The options include Vijay Kelkar, Montek Singh Ahluwalia, Rangarajan, and G.V. Ramakrishna. This question helps us recall key figures involved in shaping India's approach to disinvestment and economic policy during that period. Understanding their roles gives us insight into how these reforms were guided and implemented. Let's look at a key figure in the history of disinvestment in India. The first chairman of the Disinvestment Commission was G.V. Ramakrishna. His leadership helped shape the early direction of this important initiative, setting the stage for how public assets would be managed and privatized. Understanding his role gives us insight into the foundations of economic reform during that period. Let's take a moment to clarify what the acronym IDRA stands for in this context. The IDRA Act, passed in 1951, refers specifically to the Industrial Development and Regulation Act. This law played a key role in shaping India's industrial policies during that period. So, while the other options might sound plausible, the correct expansion of IDRA here is all about industrial development and regulation. It's a foundational piece of legislation for India's economic growth. One of the key pillars in shaping India's industrial landscape is the Industrial Development and Regulation Act. This law laid the groundwork for how industries grow and operate across the country. It's not just a policy, it's a cornerstone that guided industrial progress, balancing development with regulation. Understanding this act helps us see how India managed its industrial ambitions while maintaining control and oversight. It's a foundational piece in the story of India's economic growth. Let's take a look at the RBI Committee from 1993. This committee focused on several key areas: direct tax, indirect tax, banking, and disinvestment. Each of these plays a crucial role in shaping economic policy. Understanding their work helps us see how financial systems and government decisions connect, especially when it comes to managing resources and revenue. This slide sets the stage for exploring those important topics in more detail. This slide points us to a specific focus: indirect tax reforms. When we talk about tax changes, it's important to know which area we're targeting. Here, the emphasis is clearly on indirect taxes, things like sales tax, VAT, or excise duties. These reforms can have a big impact on how goods and services are priced and how revenue is collected. So, understanding this focus helps us grasp the broader picture of the policy or initiative being discussed. Let's take a look at the key areas the Papola Committee focused on back in 1980. They studied four main sectors, starting with the formal sector, which includes organized, regulated employment. Then, the informal or unorganized sector, where work is often irregular and less protected. They also examined tax evasion, a critical issue affecting government revenue. Finally, foreign aid, the external support that can influence economic development. These areas paint a broad picture of the challenges and dynamics in the economy at that time. Let's focus on the idea of informalization of labor. This refers to jobs that aren't part of the formal economy, work without official contracts, benefits, or protections. It's often called informal or unorganized sector employment. These jobs can be unstable, low-paying, and lack social security. Understanding this helps us see the challenges many workers face outside the formal system, and why addressing informal labor is crucial for economic inclusion. Let's look at who oversees national income accounting in India. The options include the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, the Ministry of Commerce, and the Ministry of Home Affairs. Each plays a vital role in the government, but only one is responsible for tracking and reporting the country's economic performance through national income accounting. This question helps us understand which ministry handles this crucial task. Here, we're looking at the organization responsible for performing the calculation, the NSO or CSO. This falls under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, or MOSPI. So, when we talk about who handles these important statistical tasks, the correct answer is MOSPI. It's the ministry that oversees the data collection and analysis crucial for informed decision-making. Here, we're looking at the key committees that shape the concept of small-scale industries, or SSI, in India. The question asks which committee played a major role in developing this idea back in 1999. The options include the Abid Hussain Committee, the Karve Committee, the Dutt Committee, and the Raj Committee. Understanding which committee influenced SSI helps us see how policy and industry support evolved over time. This slide points to the Abid Hussain Committee, which played a major role in working extensively on the small-scale industries sector. Their efforts helped shape policies and recommendations that supported the growth and development of these industries. Understanding their contribution gives us insight into how targeted committees can influence economic sectors in meaningful ways. Now, we're looking at a question about the Financial Sector Legislative Reforms Commission, or FSLRC. The slide lists 4 names: Vimal Jalan, Urjit Patel, Raghuram Rajan, and Justice B.N. Srikrishna. The key point here is identifying who actually headed this commission. This question tests our knowledge of important figures in financial reforms and their roles in shaping policy. Let's keep these names in mind as we consider the answer. This slide points us to a specific commission, one that was active under the leadership of Justice B.N. Srikrishna. It's important because this commission played a key role in shaping the discussions or decisions we're exploring today. Knowing who led it helps us understand the context and the authority behind its recommendations. So, as we move forward, keep Justice Srikrishna's commission in mind. It's central to the story we're telling. Let's look at the Urjit Patel Committee from 2014. This committee is best known for recommending the inflation targeting framework, a major shift in how monetary policy is conducted. It wasn't about disinvestment, small-scale industry protection, or education reforms. Instead, it focused on controlling inflation by setting clear targets, helping stabilize the economy and guide expectations. This framework has since become a cornerstone of India's economic policy. This slide highlights a key recommendation. The Reserve Bank of India should focus on targeting inflation directly, rather than juggling multiple indicators. This approach, known as the inflation targeting framework, simplifies monetary policy by zeroing in on a clear, measurable goal. It helps anchor expectations and keeps the economy more stable. By concentrating on inflation, the RBI can make more transparent and effective decisions. Here, we're looking at the National Commission on Farmers, set up in 2004. The question asks who led this important commission. The options include Shanta Kumar, Ashok Dalwai, Hanumantha Rao, and M.S. Swaminathan. This slide tests our knowledge of key figures in agricultural policy, highlighting the leadership behind efforts to support farmers and shape agricultural reforms in India. This slide points us to a key figure in agricultural science, MS Swaminathan. Often known as the Swaminathan Commission, his work has shaped policies around food security and sustainable farming in India. Recognizing his contributions helps us understand the foundation of many modern agricultural reforms. So, when you hear the Swaminathan Commission, remember it's tied directly to his vision and expertise. Here, we're looking at a question about the source of the Monetary Policy Report. The options include the Finance Ministry, the World Bank, the Reserve Bank of India, and NITI Aayog. This slide tests our understanding of which institution is responsible for publishing this key document that guides monetary policy decisions. It's important to know who holds the reins when it comes to shaping a country's financial landscape. Here, we see the Reserve Bank of India's inflation projections laid out. These forecasts help us understand where inflation might be headed in the near future. They're crucial for shaping monetary policy and guiding economic decisions. By keeping an eye on these projections, we get a clearer picture of the challenges and opportunities ahead in managing price stability. Let's look at a key question about the origins of the 10+2+3 education system. This structure, which organizes schooling into 10 years of basic education, 2 years of higher secondary, and 3 years of college, was proposed by one of several important commissions. The options include the Mudaliar Commission, the Radhakrishnan Commission, the Kathari Commission, and the Yashpal Committee. Understanding which commission introduced this system helps us trace the evolution of education policy. As we wrap up, it's important to remember the Mudaliar Committee, which took a close look at secondary education back in the early 1950s. This commission helped shape how we think about education beyond the basics, setting the stage for many reforms that followed. That's the key takeaway here.